Hey, Soul Tribe, it's your Soul Coach Jeremy Ryden. This is part 2 of Neptune in the first house, Neptune rising. In the previous video, hopefully you watched, it was talking about how Neptune people are idealistic, they're dreamers, visionaries, artistic. These are the creative people in writing, music, poetry, painting. And then we're going to transition into why it can be hard to find that type of work or more early success, as the world terms success, in the life of someone with Neptune in the first house. What I wanted to add before we get to that is not only is Neptune the artistic people and the spiritual people, but these are also the most intuitive people. Neptune in the first house, especially as the closer it gets to the ascendant, the more psychic that these people are. They can, know who's calling before the phone rings. They can just pick up the vibes in it. They can walk into a room and pick up the energy, whether there was a fight that just happened. They can sense things. So they're extremely sensitive to the environment, especially on an energetic level on what's going on. Now, they may not always tell you why, but they can sense it, and especially in their body, because first house rules body. So they can sense a tightness in their body or stress in the body. And it's interesting to see how people with Neptune are very observant of their surroundings. Now, what also very interesting is Neptune in the first house, besides being spiritually idealistic and creative, they're empaths. As I said, they feel people's feelings. So they're the most compassionate. Neptune risers are some of the most compassionate souls on the planet. These are the redeemers. Jesus Christ was a Neptune. He was a Neptune riser, right? He was that Pisces energy of self-sacrifice. So you'll see Neptune people in the first house literally sacrificing their lives to help their family, their friends, and the causes that they hold near and dear. So there's not a better crusader as far as really believing in the cause like Neptune. So they make wonderful counselors. Why are they making a wonderful counselor? Because they can feel what someone is expressing to them. They have this intuitive understanding. They just get it. Haven't you ever felt really good when you confided to a friend or to a therapist and they understood your point of view? They didn't just nod and agree to just agree, but they actually felt and understood where you were coming from. You will never find a better counselor, a therapist, an actual healer, because Neptune feels emotions. They also heal people on an emotional level. So you'll never find a better therapist, counselor, pastor, minister than somebody with Neptune in the first house. So man, there's so much stuff here, but words that we're hearing over and over again with Neptune is spirit, it's soul, it's intuition, it's psychic, it's sensitive, it's caring, it's compassionate. All of this Neptune in the first house. Why then is it hard sometimes financially for people with Neptune in the first house? A couple of reasons. Number one, the caring professions don't always pay the best. There are a few, examples of people that make a modest living that are psychologists or psychiatrists, but you got to go to 8 years of school and PhD and ton of student loans, which doesn't always work with Neptune in the first, because they're not, like I said earlier, they're not one to stick to a routine because they're daydreamers. So, Neptune could find it hard to go all the way through college for a PhD, unless there's other things in the chart that are supporting groundedness, like Saturn aspecting, the ninth house or part of the first. Or the 10th. But here's what I want to get back to, because we're already 4 minutes in. Is another reason why Neptune has trouble making money is because a lot of the artistic and the caring fields and the other energetic fields of healing are not always recognized on this planet, like a stockbroker or a banker or somebody else, unless you make it into Hollywood or American Idol, that type of thing. But the other reason why Neptune has a hard time making money is because they have a hard time with identity, settling down on really knowing who they are. Meaning, because they're so empathetic, they can lose themselves into other people to the point that they really think that they're thinking their thoughts and their feelings but only what they're really doing is picking up the thoughts and feelings of their friends, their neighbors, their churches, their schools. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because being able, once again, to connect with somebody's thoughts and feelings and ideas is what makes Neptune in the first house such great friends and counselors. But it can cause them to not take the time to really self-identify their beliefs. Now, we know they're idealistic and that they have higher thoughts on how we should treat people, but they're so open because Neptune, the planet of imagination, loves possibilities. Well, when you're trying to create a career and when you're trying to make money, you gotta narrow down the niche. You gotta narrow down. And it's hard for Neptune to narrow down because they're not about walls. They're not about niches. They're not about structure. They're about open horizons, open spaces, possibilities, options, because they're such a creative soul that loves variety. So that's why they have a trouble settling down, is because Neptune is a universal planet. They don't like borders. So people with Neptune in the first house, these are going to be more of your Bernie Sanders fans and more of a, democratic socialism, more of wanting really, not necessarily America's better than everyone else, or me first, which me first attitude sometimes helps people in their life path, creating their identity and their little niche. But with Neptune, there's such wanting to just blend in and make everyone one happy big earth. Well, that can cause them to be a little too watered down for some people's opinion and not be able to make the impact to stand out that they need to. So this is 6 minutes in now, so I'm going to cut this off. See you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the button below. We're going to be doing a lot of astrology advising in this next year, and I'm excited to have you on the channel, and especially Neptune rising. Don't beat yourself up if you don't have a niche yet. A lot of you are late bloomers, and I'm going to tell you, you want to find careers that are more spiritually, artistic, compassionate, counseling, all these things in nature, because otherwise, you're going to struggle. Talk to you soon.